Welcome to the Natural Healthy Lifestyle Show with Win-Win Women. I'm Rhonda Ormond Peterson, and I'm your show host. Today, I have a very special guest. She's well accomplished. And when I met Clarissa, I was impressed with her graciousness and her kindness. She really is one of those people that is beautiful inside and out. Clarissa is a behavioral health coach connecting to worldwide clients in her personal training and nutrition coaching business. She feels that connection between body and mind is essential to educate, empower, and encourage women in total health. She wants to help women to be confident as their own advocate in both mental and physical health, as she uses her platform as a current pageant finalist to extend the education of women's whole health. She hopes that whoever hears it will make life choices for optimal health in all facets of body and mind. I love her motto, and her motto is, I'm going to make everything around me beautiful, and that will be my life. And she really does exemplify that motto. So welcome, Clarissa.
Thank you so much for having me be part of this.
We're so happy to have you on today. Now, everyone sees you today as this beautiful, successful pageant winner, speaker, personal trainer, and nutrition coach. And many times people don't see the history or the struggles to get there. Would you share your journey with our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that everybody has a front stage and a backstage. Front stage is where the performance happens, and the backstage is where the chaos is, right? And we are really used to putting on our front stage for the world to see. And that's almost what's acceptable, and that backstage chaos isn't. But I just truly love showing that there is a backstage and what that looks like. I have my own backstage, and honestly, I think the most successful people have a pretty chaotic backstage. They need a lot more people to help them get on stage all in one piece. And at the same time, I think that there's different definitions of success. And I continue to strive for excellence instead of success in my life, because success is something that is ever changing. But in excellence, it's the peace that I feel inside by doing like my best job. And for 27 years, I have dealt with a mental health disorder called PMDD, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder. That started when I was about 10 years old, and I wasn't diagnosed until I was 29. And there were a lot of different treatment options, but not an actual diagnosis until I had had my third baby. And at that point, I was experiencing some very severe symptoms because I was experiencing PMDD as well as postpartum depression. And I was packing my bags to leave my husband. Actually, I thought that the world and my family would be better without me. And my husband said, like, this is not okay. And he said, let's go get you some help. And it actually took me another year for me to find my own diagnosis on a late night group chat forum, just searching online for my symptoms, PMDD. And we can talk about that in a little bit, but within that scope and me getting diagnosed, I had this insatiable need to learn everything that I can about my disorder. And as I did that, I felt a prompting and a passion burning within me to share, a responsibility to share with the world what I have learned that I could not find for myself.
That is so good. Now, as we talk a little bit about PMDD, can you tell us just a little bit more about that and how you help others to be aware and to cope with that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So PMDD, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder, is a no known cause or no known cure yet mental disorder that is an abnormal reaction to normal changing hormones in a female cycle. So a female has her menstrual cycle, then she's great for a week, high energy, then she ovulates. Hopefully most women understand that we have between a 26 to 32 day cycle with our hormones, that they fluctuate in a rhythmic pattern that happens about 12 to 14 times a year. And after you ovulate and the egg is released from your ovaries and goes down into your uterus, that's actually called your luteal phase. So from ovulation until the time that your menstrual cycle starts. Well, that can take anywhere between 10 to 18 days. And usually about 10 days of, I'm a 2-weeker, so I'm a 14-day cycle right there. That part of the cycle is 14 days for me. And within that time, I experience an abnormal reaction to my changing hormones. So as my progesterone goes up, as my estrogen goes up, I experience very severe symptoms. Some of those symptoms are depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation. I tend to lose my frontal cortex, which is like your behavior and your emotional control. And so I sometimes can relate to what we would call like a raging alcoholic type of loss of control of my emotions. And so if PMDD is not in check, if I don't take care of my body, I can head down that path very fast. And then once my menstrual cycle starts, the fog kind of clears and I come back to a very go-getter woman. So we call it Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in my house. And I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for me every time my period starts, and it's great. And I actually have created a coaching business called Adagio Fit, where I educate women now on their hormone cycle and on their hormones and how to take care of themselves and do everything that they can do for themselves before they turn to something such as birth control or take it to a doctor so that they can advocate for themselves in PMDD.
That is amazing. I love how you know your body so well. And I think that that's where a lot of women want to know more. The topic of hormones is a subject for women all ages. And what advice do you have for different ages and seasons of life that women go through?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I'm not too old yet. I'm still having my menstrual cycle, but I know that there are ranges from everybody who is just starting to people who don't have one. And I think that, to be said, our spiritual aspect, our spiritual nature is a driver of a car, and our body is a car. This is how I talk to my clients all the time. We don't get to pick what kind of car we drive, whether we get the nice Porsche or we get a beat up Ford truck that has a stick shift and holes in the floor, which is actually what I drove growing up. We don't get to pick what kind of car we're in, but we do get to pick how we take care of that car. And sometimes the car needs constant maintenance. Sometimes that car is an oil leaker and you have to put oil in that car all the time. If I treated my Subaru Outback like I treated my BMW, I would have problems with my Outback because they run differently. And so we need to learn about our bodies and what kind of make and model we have. That can only come by learning how to listen to the red flags and the messages that our bodies are giving us. And that's what hormones are. They're just messages. That's what emotions are. That's what thoughts are. That's what physical symptoms are, is that they're messages that our body is trying to tell us and communicate with us. And learning how to honor that and respect that. If your stomach gurgles, you don't say, give me 10 more minutes. It's like, oh man, I know that if my stomach gurgles, I should have eaten an hour ago by this point because I've practiced that, right? It's all about a daily practice of going within instead of looking without into that make and model of that car, and to stop comparing ourselves to the car next to us and be content and happy with what we have been given and make the most out of that.
Well, I love that. And I love your comparison to a vehicle.
Makes it
So,
easy to visualize.
yes, it does. Now, what about people who are like postmenopause or young women? Is there any advice that you have for them?
Ooh, what a good question. Okay, so um, I believe that there is a femininity in all of nature. So just the same way that the sun comes up and goes down, we have a circadian rhythm that our body wants to get up in the mornings and go to sleep at night. But within the feminine nature, we also have a second rhythm, which is like the moon. It waxes and wanes every month, surprisingly enough, and just like a female's body. So if you don't have a menstrual cycle, or if you are taking birth control, or if you've had a hysterectomy and don't have, that bleeding, or if you're post menopause and you're out of that, you can still connect to that feminine nature by understanding that we fall in two cycles, that circadian rhythm by the sun, but also what is called the infradian rhythm. And that is our hormonal cycle. And there are books and ways, and this is what I do in my coaching, is talk to women about how to connect to that, even if they don't have that menstrual cycle, and honoring our feminine nature and not trying to be only circadian, but also honoring that we're an ever-changing female species.
I love that. So we also know that you have a passion to help others with whole health. Now, this includes body and mind. So will you elaborate a little bit on that, about your mission for that?
Absolutely. I have found in my coaching, I originally started as just a group fitness exercise teacher, and I discovered that we cannot progress in our physical bodies without also protecting our mental health. I know when I take care of myself physically, my PMDD for the month is usually better if I exercise regularly. But also on the flip side, how I treat my body by what I put into it, it's showing my inner self, honoring little thoughts of like, when
Clarissa, let me interrupt you for a
yeah,
minute. I'm having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if our viewers can hear you, but could you just repeat what you said, and let's try
yes.
the audio again.
Let me see. Is that any better? I'll pull my mic out.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, so I have, honestly, I don't quite know exactly what I said, so I will rephrase. I believe that as I started as a personal trainer, I became of the knowledge very fast that my mental health and how I viewed myself was in strict relation to how I exercised and how I ate. And so I realized that mind and body you cannot have one without the other and have whole health, have a well-rounded, happy, fulfilled life. And so as we take care of our bodies physically, our mental health has a benefit. And as we take care of our mental health, our physical health has a benefit as well.
That's great. And can you elaborate a little more on your mission and what you?
Yes. So my mission, which is really great because we are required to do this in the pageant world, is have a mission, but I have a life's mission that doesn't stop or start just because I am a pageant queen. My mission is to educate and empower women to learn about their bodies and then advocate for themselves through their education to better their health in mind and body, to remember that our health is personal. There is not one size fits all. There is absolutely not. But also our health is possible, and that you can better your health in little ways by things that you can do personally, as well as creating a great medical team. I'm all for medication. I take it on a daily basis, but I also know that I have to have like my medical team with me. I teach seminars and teen classes, and I still teach group fitness because I love that social aspect. Because I love when I see my women and my students and my clients have those light bulb moments of going, I never realized that I need extra sleep during, days 23 through 28 of my menstrual cycle. And I never realized that when I'm menstruating, my joints are really soft. So I probably shouldn't go do a high class or a HIIT class. I probably should do some more yoga and slow down and introvert. I love to make sure that I am the coach that I couldn't find when I needed one. And like I said, it doesn't stop if I win a crown or I don't. This is my life, and this is my mission to share that with people. And I feel that responsibility very heavily.
Well, and you have a history of dancing. Your background, do you want to share with the viewers a little bit about your dancing history?
I would love to. So I have always wanted to dance. I think I came out dancing in the womb, and I actually didn't take my first major dance class until I was 13 years old. So everything was just watching television shows and I got my first radio when I was 3 years old for Christmas. That's just how much I love music and dance. Well, as a teenager, and having PMDD, I actually went through a lot of suicidal planning and suicidal ideation. And the only way that I could communicate my feelings and emotions, because, the doctors didn't know what was going on. My therapist didn't know. My parents didn't know. And I have the most amazing parents, but there just wasn't the resources because PMDD wasn't even in the diagnostics manual until I was 29 years old. So they wouldn't even have known that that's what it was. And I, dance just saved me. It was my way of communicating. And, as I became a mother, I had to stop dancing because I couldn't get pregnant. I was dancing too much and we miscarried quite a few times. I wasn't very far along, but my body just couldn't handle the pregnancy. And so I stopped dancing. And when in October of 2019, so yep, it's been 3.5 years, I was laying in bed going through a PMDD episode where I was contemplating, again, because this happens for the 10 days out of every month, I was contemplating taking my life. And I prayed to God because I'm a firm believer in a higher power. And I prayed to him and I said, show me one thing that could save me. Show me one thing that is a reason that I need to still be here. And the vision in my head was of me taking a class in where I live up in Park City, or where I had been up in Park City. My in-laws are from Park City. And I had this vision of me taking that dance class, and I had a strict thought: if you leave, you will have no physical body to do that. And so I actually looked up the company that I had taken the class from, and I certified as a teacher for them. So now I teach that dance fitness format, knowing that at one point that was another switch point in my choosing to live. And I teach women constantly. I dance every day to be able to burn off the crazy and remind myself of the gift that I've been given. Our bodies are the most amazing machines. They are so cool. They know when to take out the trash. They know when you need to rest. They know when you need to add fuel. They, they're a human calculator. They're smart and intelligent, and they adapt. And we as women have not been taught enough how to take care of our bodies for us. We hear of influencers. We get bombarded with the latest trends, but that's all to sell money or sell a product or sell a business or sell a person, versus really going in and doing that mindset work to be able to progress in our health. In fact, if I may, in my nutrition coaching, I have what's called the pyramid of nutrition. And this is like not the nutritional pyramid one bit. And in that pyramid of nutrition, we start at the very bottom. And actually, the very first thing that I ever work on with my clients is mindfulness, is creating the space to go within, to honor and learn about ourselves. And then only after we create mindfulness can we then progress forward in our nutritional needs. And so if there's ever a problem with my clients, like if they're hitting roadblocks, it's usually the base. It's usually our mindfulness. Usually we weren't present. We're stressing out. There's others' expectations we're getting bombarded with. And so I always go back to that mindfulness. And there's challenges, like every session, I'll give my clients a challenge that has to do with being more mindful that week.
Oh, thank you. And we're so thankful you could share your journey with us. And that must have been really painful. We know that there's some people out there that are struggling with this, but they don't understand what it is. What can you say to them, or that maybe we may know someone that may be struggling? What advice and what signs do they look for?
Yeah, absolutely. What a good question. So the very first thing that I would tell any female is to track your symptoms. If you go to any doctor or me as a coach, I'm going to ask you, when was the last time you had a period? Or tell me about your mood swings. Do they fall in a secular pattern? Like something that continues to come at certain times of the month. And then also like other symptoms. For example, with my PMDD, when I have high estrogen, my gums tend to bleed. So when I brush my teeth, even though I love brushing my teeth and I do it all the time, that specific time of the month for me, my gums will bleed when I brush them, or my joints actually get really achy and I have to like take extra ibuprofen. And so tracking our symptoms is a great way to create awareness within our bodies. You can do that even post-menopause. Your hormones aren't completely off post-menopause. You still have a little bit of estrogen, you still have some testosterone. And so creating that awareness within your body, like, today I'm feeling a little cranky. Well, last night or the night before, I didn't sleep really well. So maybe my cortisol, which is our stress hormone, is high and I didn't take out the trash while I slept. And so I'm feeling a little cranky today. So how do I need to adjust my day in order to be able to honor that message, that chemical messenger from my body?
Oh, thank you. We're grateful to hear that, to be able to help others to be aware and start watching and calculating, recording their signs. So we know that you've had areas of success in many areas, that is. And so pageants has been a recent venture for you.
Yeah.
Would you like to share your excitement and your experiences with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So when my second daughter, I have 3 girls, and my middle daughter, when she was 1, we moved. And as we were driving along a main street in a new town where we lived, up on the marquee, it said, Mrs. Utah. I don't even remember the year. And my husband looked at me and he said, you should do that sometime. And I thought to myself, I thought pageants were only for Miss. And I thought my days were over. Like I hadn't ever even done a pageant before. And I just thought, maybe someday. Right. And well, in 2020, let's see. Nope. It was 21. I got out of a class. Not that that's important, but I got out of a class and I got in my car to post a picture of a class I had just taught and share some insights about PMDD. And I had a distinct impression that said, it is time. And I knew I had a flashback of that marquee and I knew exactly what those words were. It is time. And so I looked online and chose the Mrs. America pageant to be a part of. There are actually many different pageant organizations, and this is just one of a few, but I love, this is the oldest one in the United States, and I love the opportunity that it gives me to have a bigger speaker, so to speak, of the information that I have to give. And so I ran last year and took second runner up, very first pageant ever, had never even walked on stage before in a formal, like it was a huge learning experience for me. And as I walked out in my evening gown for the competition, I remember feeling the understanding that this was a good place for me to reach women. And I knew that if I didn't win, that I would continue and on my journey and on my path. So I didn't win. I lost it in the last question and I knew it. And I, went home, slept, and 2 days later it was like, okay, it's time to do it again. So I have been in a constant preparation for this coming year. So for 23, I'm super excited.
That is so exciting. And you are a winner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Also, we want to share some slides with the viewers. And so we'll just do that really quickly so you can share some of your thoughts. So do you want to explain this picture?
Okay, this picture is total front stage and backstage. So kind of coming full circle. This was my headshot from my very first pageant. And what you don't know, this was taken in my living room. I'm wearing socks. I don't even have my dress zipped up. My kids were running around asking for me to take them to places, and my photographer was talking and not paying attention to me. And but she was doing a great job. It was just that one moment of this one picture. And I went and moved my hair, and that ended up being the headshot. So like, you don't see the chaos that's everywhere. You just get this, but this is also edited and airbrushed. And I love to show people that like, I'm just a human. I'm just a human with some makeup on and a little bit of computer retouching. So
I love that you shared the backstory with us. It makes you so real, and that's where people connect. Thank you. Now let's go to this next one.
Okay, so I have an athletic wear line that is called DOSE. They are the 4 happy hormones: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And I like to give my clients a dose of excitement. And I know that workout clothes help us feel that way, because I would get clients who can come in to work with me, and they would be dressed in big sweats and a big t-shirt and not taking care of their bodies. And so I would say, you know what, why don't you go pick something up in my athletic wear line? Then you can show up being your better self. And then as they lose weight, which is also something really interesting, what people don't realize is when you lose weight, you have to get a whole new wardrobe. So I wanted to create an opportunity for women to get high quality, sassy looking pieces that are classic, but that, aren't ridiculous in price as their body changes. And so that's where DOSE came from, is my desire to just offer something to my clients. And now it's worldwide.
We love it. Okay. And now tell us about this.
This was the day of my interviews of my pageant. And actually, Rhonda, your daughter did my hair. So you have some claim to fame there. It does. It did. And I have so much peace about this message, and I have so much responsibility to share this message. And so, like I said, it doesn't stop with just this, a cute picture. Like I am in the trenches with you. Also, something that I would love to share is this pageant weekend, I was actually in the throes of PMDD. Wow. So I had to speak about my disorder while I had thoughts of, you would be better off not here.
Oh, where is
the world does not need you. And there is an easy way. You could just leave out this back door and nobody would know. And so I was actually in the middle of PMDD during this pageant. And so I know that it is possible to learn how to honor and love yourself in the middle of mental health crisis.
And we're so glad that you have found this direction, that you're here with us.
Thank you.
Now, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh man, I love being social. I do. I'm on Instagram. That's pretty much my main hub, but I also have a great website with a whole bunch of blog articles and podcasts that talk about PMDD, talk about physical health, talk about nutrition, talk about mental health, kind of in those pillars. And I also offer free 1-hour consultations through Zoom, just like how we're meeting, to help women get guidance. And then, they can decide if they want to coach with me after that. I take on one-on-one clients. I do small group coaching, as well as I'm just getting ready. I'm filming to launch some on-demand courses called Women in Nutrition, Women in Exercise, and Women in Hormones. I also go around speaking to groups of girls. I have a great teen hormone class that I love to share with teenagers. They are antsy. They want to know about their bodies. I love this next generation coming in. They are they just want to eat it all up. So I do events, and also my pageant. If you want to watch the Mrs. Utah pageant, it will be on demand. It is March 25th. And you can find that information. I will have it on my Instagram, but on mrsutahamerica.com.
That is wonderful. We appreciate knowing that. So as always, this show is for information and educational purposes only. The opinions and points of view expressed in this content represent the view of the show host and my guests. And thank you for joining the show today. Join us next week and every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time.